get some pumpkins for the party?" asked Daddy Pig. "Me!" shouted Peppa. "And me," agreed George. "I'll just get the camper van ready," replied Daddy Pig. "We'll need more room for all the pumpkins." And off he went. Daddy Pig drove the camper van up to the house, and Peppa and George jumped in. "Don't be too long," said Mummy Pig. "We still need to decorate the house." "We'll be quick," they all shouted, and off they went. It didn't take too long to reach the pumpkin patch, and Peppa and George hopped out eagerly. "Wow!" exclaimed Peppa. "Look at all those pumpkins." "You pick them and I'll load them into the van," replied Daddy Pig, and so Peppa and George got to work. "Careful, George," cried Peppa. But it was too late. George had fallen into a rotten pumpkin and got it stuck on his head. Peppa helped to pull it off, and they continued. "Well done," said Daddy Pig. "I think we have enough now. Let's go home." So they all climbed into the van. But when Daddy Pig tried to start the engine, it made a terrible noise. He got out to take a closer look. "I'm afraid the motor needs fixing," Daddy sighed. "And Grandpa Dog is a bit tied up at the moment. We'll just have to wait for him." "But we need to get home to help Mummy decorate the house," cried Peppa. But just then they heard a familiar whistle. "It's Thomas!" shouted Peppa. Thomas stopped. "Oh dear, are you stuck?" he asked. "Yes," replied Peppa. "We need to get our pumpkins home." "No problem," he replied. "You can pop them in my empty truck and I'll give you a lift." "Oh, thank you," smiled Daddy Pig. And they unloaded all the pumpkins into Thomas's truck. "You two go with Thomas and I'll wait for Grandpa Dog," said Daddy Pig. So Peppa and George hopped into Thomas's truck. "See you later," shouted Daddy Pig, and they waved. They were nearly home when disaster struck. A log slipped off a pile of wood and fell under the pumpkin truck. The truck derailed, spilling the pumpkins all over the road. "Oh no," cried Peppa. "What are we going to do? The truck is too heavy for us to put back on the rails." "Don't worry," replied Thomas. "Jack is on his way and he'll help us." Sure enough, Jack appeared. Peppa and George moved the log away from the track, and Jack began to heave Thomas's truck back onto the rails. He also managed to scoop all the pumpkins up and put them back into the truck. "Thanks, Jack," said Thomas gratefully. "No problem," said Jack, and off he went. Peppa and George climbed back into Thomas's truck and they continued their journey. Mummy Pig was relieved to see them when they arrived, and they unloaded all the pumpkins. Mummy Pig then thanked Thomas for his help. "You're very welcome," he replied, and disappeared. Luckily, Grandpa Dog had fixed the camper van and Daddy Pig could drive home while Mummy, Peppa and George decorated the house. Wow, he cried, the house looks amazing. Well done, everyone. We've just got enough time to get changed before the party.
small Clanger was looking through the telescope at faraway stars and planets when Major Clanger looked. "10 minutes earlier, Peppa and George had come outside to play with their space rocket." "Not you, George," said Mummy. "You've been naughty." George had already put his spacesuit on. "Don't be long, Peppa," said Mummy. "I'm just making dinner." Peppa put on her spacesuit and climbed into her seat. "What does this button do?" she said to herself. "What was that noise?" said Mummy Pig. Must be a storm brewing." Peppa found a planet to land on. Major Clanger, Tiny and Small, went to see the spaceship. Peppa said hello to the Clangers and they invited her inside. Small and Tiny showed Peppa their telescope. "Why are you called Tiny?" said Peppa. "Oh, my brother George is smaller than you. Look, I'll show you." "I'll bring him next time, if he hasn't been naughty again," said Peppa. "Let's go inside." "Fun slide." "Hello, Granny Clanger," said Peppa. "My granny sleeps a lot too, but she doesn't have a lovely hammock like this." "Oh, hello. Are you the baby soup dragon?" They were all looking at the flowers when Mummy Clanger appeared. She asked Peppa if she wanted some soup. "Oh no," said Peppa. "My mummy was getting dinner. Oh dear, I mustn't be late. I'm afraid I must go now." The Clangers wanted Peppa to come back another day. She said she would, with George. Off she went back home. Thanks for watching our story, which featured the Clangers Home Planet playset and the Clangers collectible figure pack. It's a lovely 3D playset. The telescope can be placed in 3 positions and there's a concealed tunnel. The baby soup dragon's head pops up at the touch of a button. It also featured Peppa's Space Explorer set.
Once upon a time, a beautiful Princess Pig woke up in a strange enchanted tower. Where am I? Thought the princess, and who am I today? Perhaps I'm Cinderella Pig, she wondered, and she looked at herself in the mirror. No, if I was Cinderella Pig, my dress would be in tatters. And so she decided to look out of the window for some clues. She went out onto the balcony. Oh, I must be Rapunzel Pig, she thought, because I seem to be trapped high up in an enchanted tower. Ah, so what I need to do now is to let down my hair and I will be rescued. Wait a minute, she continued. I don't have any hair. Oh dear, now I'm in a bit of a pickle. However am I going to get down? Just then, the princess heard the beating of wings, and then a familiar voice. It was Prince George on his dragon. Are you okay? Asked the prince. No, not really, answered the princess. I'm trapped in this enchanted tower, and I can't get out. Don't worry, I'll free you, said the prince, and he landed the dragon on the ground. The prince then walked into the tower. Hello, he said to the princess from the other balcony. How did you get there? She asked. Well, I just walked in through the door, he replied. The door? She cried. Do you mean I could have left through the door? Oh dear, I do feel a bit silly, she continued, embarrassed. The two of them climbed down the stairs and then went outside. Free, she said, relieved. What a lovely dragon, she continued to the prince. I really want to go home to my castle. Could I have a lift on your dragon, please? She asked. Well, no, not really, answered the prince. There's not enough room for both of us, and I think you're a bit too big. Why don't you go home in that pumpkin, he suggested. Great idea, said the princess. And she climbed inside. I'll see you back at the castle, he replied, and off he went. The pumpkin started moving, but there was obviously a problem because... What a mess! How was the princess going to get to the castle now? Suddenly, she saw a beautiful swan on the lake nearby. Of course, she thought, a magical swan. Now I can get back to the castle. So she climbed onto the swan. The swan started moving, but it didn't seem to be going anywhere, just round and round in circles. Peppa climbed off. That was a bad idea. Now I feel really dizzy. She walked to the front of the tower. I don't think I'm ever going to get back, she thought sadly. And then she said out loud, I wish I could go home. Suddenly, there was a flash of golden sparkles.
Did someone make a wish?
Said a tiny fairy voice, and there before her stood Tinker Bell. Yes, me, said the princess. I really want to go home.
Then your wish is my command,
answered Tinker Bell, and she waved her magic wand. In a flash, the princess found herself back at the castle with her mother and the prince. What took you so long? Asked the prince. We've been waiting for ages. Why don't you tell us all about it over a nice cup of tea, continued the Queen Pig, and they all went inside.
Zoe Zebra called at Peppa Pig's house to see if she wanted to go to the park. "Yes, please," said Peppa. "Can George come as well?" "Of course," said Zoe. The three of them got on board the waiting James and off they set. It was a really windy day and the tall trees were swaying. When they got to the park, James had to leave. The wind was really strong. It was a very good day for flying a kite. But a very bad day to play with a beach ball. On the swing, Emily went back easily but couldn't swing forwards much at all. George went to the treehouse. The ladder had been lost, so they always had to climb up the slide. "Ooh, there goes someone's balloons," said George. Rebecca went up the treehouse as well, and poor Suzy got blown over on the ground. Peppa started flying her kite as well. Then a big tree in the playground started shaking and was pulled out of the ground by the wind. It crashed against the slide on the treehouse, trapping Rebecca and George at the top. There was no ladder and they couldn't get past the tree. Everyone came running. Luckily, no one was hurt. Then they heard a train coming. It was Hello Kitty. Peppa asked Kitty if she could help in any way. She thought, "I have a plan," and she then moved her train around the track. Kitty got out a rope and asked Peppa if she could tie it around the tree. She did with some help from Pedro. Kitty tied the other end to her train. With everyone standing well back, Kitty started the train. The tree moved easily and was pulled well away from the treehouse. George and Rebecca could now slide their way down to the ground. Kitty returned and they all thanked her very much for her help.
It was Elmo's birthday, so Peppa and George were bringing him some lollipops as presents. "Oh bother," said Thomas. "Something's not right. How are we going to give Elmo these lollipops?" asked Peppa. Fortunately, Blaze was passing by. "Hello Blaze," said Thomas. "I've broken down. Please can you help us take these lollies to Elmo?" "Of course, hop on." So George took a lolly and got on Blaze, and he sped off. "Happy birthday, Elmo," said George. "We got you some lollies. This is the first one." So Elmo ate it. Olaf was inside. "I'll go and get the rest," said George. So he hopped back on Blaze and they went back to Thomas and Peppa. "I'm back," George said. "Good news, I'm fixed," replied Thomas. So George boarded the truck. "If you need my help again, just give me a whistle," said Blaze, and he left. The journey was going well until... "I've broken down again," said Thomas, and he whistled. Blaze arrived very quickly. "Sorry to bother you, Blaze, but I've broken down again." "It's alright, Thomas," said Blaze. So George took another lolly and climbed on Blaze to take it to Elmo. "Here's lolly number 2, Elmo," cried George. The Incredible Hulk was inside. "We'll go and get another." "I should be up and running now," said Thomas. So George got on and Blaze drove off. "Oh, not again," sulked Thomas. "Oh dear, Thomas, you're not having a great day, are you?" "Let's go, George." "Here's lolly number 3. Kevin the pirate minion was inside. "One left," said George. "I should be able to make it now," said Thomas, and off he went. Luckily this time, he did make it. "Happy birthday, Elmo," they all said, and they gave him his last lolly. Donatello was inside. Elmo thanked Peppa and George for their presents. What a lovely collection.
Princess Sophia, Amber and James were busy in the kitchen. They'd invited Queen Elsa and Princess Anna for afternoon tea, so were making a delicious cake. Amber stirred the mixture. This was going to be the best cake ever. The mixture was then put in a tin and Princess Sophia placed it in the oven. While the cake was cooking, the three of them went out to play. Unfortunately, they were too busy playing and forgot about the cake. Smoke started coming out of the oven. When Princess Sophia and Amber returned, the cake was ruined. The cake was so burnt, it was as black as coal. "Oh no," cried Amber. "What are we going to do? Queen Elsa and Princess Anna are coming soon." "I know," said Princess Sophia. "I'll phone Peppa Pig and ask if she could get a cake for us." Peppa agreed, and Percy gave her a lift to Hello Kitty's cafe. She purchased a cake and rushed to Princess Sophia's castle. "Oh, thank goodness you're here, Peppa," said Princess Sophia. "What did you buy?" she asked. "I bought a mud cake," said Peppa. "A what?" Amber cried. "A mud cake? That sounds horrible. Queen Elsa won't want to eat mud," she thought. But Queen Elsa and Princess Anna were arriving. They got out of the car and greeted their hosts. "Hello, you three," Queen Elsa said. "What's that?" she asked Peppa. "It's a chocolate mud cake," she said. Princess Sophia and Amber heaved a sigh of relief. "Oh, I thought it was actually made of mud." "How silly of me," said Amber. Everyone laughed, and Peppa gave everyone a slice. The whole cake was eaten quickly. "Thank you. That was the best cake I've ever eaten," said Queen Elsa. Everyone else agreed. Madame Gazelle was teaching Peppa and her friends the alphabet. Peppa loved school, but she really wished they could have a proper school building. Madame Gazelle began. "What word begins with A?" she asked. "A is for apple," cried Zoe Zebra, and she pointed to her apple on the desk. "Well done, Zoe," cried Madame Gazelle. "What about B?" "B is for banana," shouted Pedro, looking at his banana. "Very good," smiled Madame Gazelle. "Now, what about C?" she asked. There was silence, and then Peppa said, "C is for cold. I wish we had some walls to keep us a bit warmer. It may snow soon." Everyone laughed, and then Madame Gazelle said, "Well, you're all in luck, children. We're having a special new school built tonight as it's getting colder. Off you go, and I'll see you in the morning." Everyone was excited about the new school. Zoe and Pedro even forgot to take their apple and banana with them. Luckily, George came to the rescue. That night, the construction of the new school began. First, the floor, then the back wall, the windows, the roof, Madame Gazelle's blackboard, and her table, the desks, and the seesaw for outside. Last of all, the stickers were put in place to make the new school look bright and cheerful. The next day, Madame Gazelle was the first to see the new school. She loved it. Peppa and her friends soon arrived. "Wow," they all said, "this is awesome." "But, Madame Gazelle," asked Peppa, "where are the chairs?" "Don't worry," answered Madame Gazelle. "Thomas is bringing them and should be here soon." Thomas was indeed on his way. "I can hear him," shouted Pedro excitedly. Thomas arrived with the chairs. The chairs were soon put in place. Thomas then left. "Can we go outside and play on the new seesaw?" asked George hopefully. "Not yet," replied Madame Gazelle. "You need to practice your numbers first." She put a sum on the board. 3 plus 2 equals 5, shouted Peppa. "Well done," smiled Madame Gazelle. 4 plus 3 equals 7, shouted Pedro. "Yes, that's right," answered Madame Gazelle. 8 minus 5 equals, she continued. 3, cried Zoe. "Well done, Zoe." "George, what's 3 minus 2? George had to think hard. 1, he asked. "Well done, George," said Madame Gazelle, pleased. Just then, Peppa spotted something out of the window. It's been snowing, and we were so warm and cosy inside we didn't even notice. "Can we go out and play?" asked Pedro. "Yes, of course. You've all done so well this morning," agreed Madame Gazelle. So they all went outside to play, and this time they didn't mind the cold. Thanks for watching our video, which featured the new Peppa Pig school construction set. It's great for stories, and we like the bright colourful pieces that are easy to put together.